If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started. So we'll get started here. This is Passive Prospecting YouTube for Real Estate, and we're going to be discussing the SEO ecosystem. This is something that to really kind of realize that there's several different opportunities out there to really link through what we like to call the SEO ecosystem. And for those that may not know, SEO is search engine optimization. So if you can, drive more organic traffic, the better to your YouTube, to YouTube through Google, all of that matters. So we're going to kind of talk about a couple of the different programs or platforms out there, I should say, really the platforms out there that you can utilize and really start to drive a lot more organic traffic as well. Now, this is something that we have discussed very heavily in the past, is that we don't typically recommend sharing YouTube videos on other socials for just a couple of reasons. Now, there's, I'm a little give or take on that, I would say, but there's something that you want to keep in mind. I just think of platform psychology first and foremost. If people are on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, they're likely in a short form platform mentality. And at least when I think about myself, the only real content I consume is Instagram. It's not the only content. I would say that I'm not sure. I don't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose in mind. I think that's probably a better term to use, is that it's usually kind of like one of the last things I do at the end of the day when I just am ready to completely unwind. And I talk about the end of the day. This is almost kind of like right before bed, which is probably not the best bedtime ritual, I would say. I've got a pretty good morning routine, but my evening routine is usually, right before crashing out, is just take a quick shower and then, and then usually about 15 to 20 minutes of reels. And that's usually because I'm in shutdown mode. And I guess that's just a way for me to relax and not think about anything else other than just, watch a few reels for entertainment. But I just go to my reels tab. So I'm not searching for anything in particular. I'm just kind of seeing what pops up in my feed. And, a lot of it is combo. There's some business, there's some workout stuff, and then there's some comedy in there. And it's just interesting. And so I kind of look at it from a consumer standpoint as far as what people are creating and how they're creating. So that's something that I'm always looking at as well. Just like if once you start creating YouTube videos, you'll start to notice that the world is a thumbnail pretty much in advertisements, if you think about it that way. If you're standing in the grocery store line, you look at magazines. Magazine covers that's like a thumbnail. Postcards are basically a thumbnail. Billboards are a thumbnail. You log into Netflix. What is it? It's all thumbnails. So it's something there, so now I look at things differently. I'm looking at billboards and magazine covers and Netflix, these different platforms. When I'm looking at them from a producer standpoint, from, interesting colors, format, fonts, pictures, everything that's used in those types of advertisements, because that is people's initial view of what they are about to get into or open up to, right? Magazine, they're trying to entice you to open up that magazine. Netflix is trying to entice you to watch certain shows. And billboards, of course, trying to get you to take an action, likely either visit a website or it's just there for recognition. It was funny, we went to Austin on Saturday for a speaking event, and driving up and down 35 from Dallas to Austin, there's a lot of Buc-ee's billboards. And it was interesting because we stopped at Buc-ee's, and I just saw a meme the other day that said, now when you stop at Buc-ee's for gas, it turns into a $65 snack, a snack stop instead. It's like you stop for gas, but you end up spending $65 in snacks. So and we came off of the highway after getting gas at Buc-ee's, and probably $60 worth of snacks to head back. And we didn't even get a mile down the road. And and there was a billboard that already said 113 miles to the next Buc-ee's. So it was like, okay, all right. Clearly, that is a repetition thing, because when you're driving down the highway, you've seen it. We've all seen it. I remember that growing up. Is sometimes, you're seeing something over and over and over and over again that makes you finally want that. And I thought, countdown billboards were always really effective on road trips, because it's kind of a game, right? Oh, only 60 miles, only 50 miles, only 40 miles, only 30 miles. And then, I remember we used to take a trip often as kids, and it was, this hidden valley store or something like that. Some of the best beef jerky and salted caramels or toffee or taffy you could find. So that was the billboard, 20 miles to the best beef jerky and salted taffy, in Texas, and so it's like, geez, after spending 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours on the road, you're like, I got to have that. Well, that's a thumbnail. Now that's a direct call to action, so to speak. It's driving force to do that. So you think about these things, and that's what I start to do. So getting back to platform psychology. Now, when I log into short form content, I'm not necessarily researching anything. And I'm not saying you can't do business from that. I know a lot of people that do business from short form content. But for me, and I think most people, that's not where they start out, at least. And they don't intentionally search too much. Although I know they're saying now TikTok is becoming a lot more of a search engine, mainly for Gen Z and Gen Z and those younger age groups, which is fine. But, still, when I'm on there, I'm just looking at it from a producer side. So I'm not going in there digging in. So if you share YouTube videos to these platforms, that's what I was bringing this around full circle, sharing videos to short form platforms, then people are not usually in a research mode or a long form content mindset. So if they click over, first of all, if you've ever clicked from a YouTube video from a different platform, if you haven't noticed, you'll notice this now. It opens it up in the browser and not in the app. So, and then of course you're not signed in. The volume is off, that you're not signed in. So YouTube's not necessarily tracking. It doesn't know who that viewer is because it opened it up in the browser. You're not signed in. And so if you've ever tried to log in from there, it will, you've got to take a couple of extra steps. And if you are consuming short form content and you see a long form video that could be 20 minutes long, I would think most people may say, ooh, I don't know if I'm in the mood to watch a 20-minute video right now, especially on real estate. So I'm going to jump back off. And they might do that within 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds, and that could contribute to a very low view duration on that video if you're sharing it out there and you don't engage people to watch that content for a long period of time. Now, there's a little trick to that, which I'll share with you. And, if you are adamant about sharing your stuff on short form platforms like your Facebook or Instagram, and you want to try to still drive traffic from there, then use a website called LinkTwin. And if you use that website, LinkTwin, what you want to do is you want to use the link to your YouTube channel and add the, there's a little code that you can add on the end of your YouTube channel, which is, actually, let me just look that up real quick and I'll tell you so I can tell you exactly what it is. Let me go in here into my customization, branding, and basic info. Let's see, yep. So you have a unique link to your YouTube channel, and if you add sub _confirmation equals 1, that sub underscore confirmation equals 1. Actually, I wonder if that question mark is on there. I believe the question mark is the first part. Let me just double check this and open this up in a window so I can tell you exactly. Okay, yep, that's it. So it is actually question mark sub underscore confirmation equals 1. That's just kind of like one word, you could say, one phrase. And so therefore, if you add that, we add that on our subscribe links, like on our YouTube channel, because if somebody clicks on that, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to pop up the subscribe box. Kind of like if you go to a landing page and it pops up a little box to capture your, it asks for your name and phone number and email. That's what this does. So if anybody were to click on one of our subscribe links, instead of just taking them to the home page, and then they still have to click on the subscribe button, when you add this after your YouTube channel, it pops up that box that says subscribe, and it'll literally say yes or no. So it makes it just very easy. Now, if you put that link and you put that in LinkTwin, then when you add that to LinkTwin, then you can get that'll open up in somebody's app. So if you end up sharing your profile, which again, not really a recommendation that we provide, but I know some people are like, well, I'm still going to do it. At least do that. At least put that in LinkTwin. And what LinkTwin will do is that if they're on their mobile phone, then it will open up YouTube in their app and they'll be signed in. So, and then it'll ask them to subscribe automatically. Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode. Now that's one way. I mean, I doubt you're going to get a ton of subscribers that way, or, again, because if, sharing on your social media, just depending on your following and your platforms and who your audience is on there. If it's just friends and family, then, something to be mindful of. I mean, if you've built up a pretty good following of potential real estate clients on there, then, that could work. But again, I just caution that because, again, I don't think people that are on those short form platforms are really in the mindset to watch, 15, 20 minute videos. But it could work. And again, I'm always an advocate of testing, testing to see what works for you and your channel and your market. So, you could always get back to us as well. Let us know if you want to try sharing that out on socials and seeing if that gets you a little extra traffic and boosts some numbers. But again, for us, it's not really about the extra traffic or the extra subscribers or the extra views. Our only goal was to make the phone ring. Still our only goal is to make the phone ring on our YouTube channel. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if we look at how to drive organic traffic, then that's something that's very interesting, because if you can capture people in a research mode, then to me they're in the right mindset to watch a 20 or 25 minute YouTube video. So this is what the SEO ecosystem, the search engine optimization ecosystem, is really all about, is finding people that are not on YouTube, that are researching, and they're in that mindset of consuming longer form content, and therefore likely to do that. And we might capture them from another area and, online, so to speak. And that way you can, draw some additional attention to your YouTube channel. So we'll start with Google. I mean, Google, of course, that's one way. And here's the thing. There's a couple of things you can do on your YouTube videos to really help you rank on Google. And number one is adding chapters. Adding chapters to your YouTube videos, which you can do that in the description. You look at the description of any one of our videos, you're going to see the chapters. then that is something that helps it rank on Google. And Google's going to use that for some reason, and those chapters can become searchable through that. And you'll see that sometimes if you get your videos to rank in Google, you'll see how they'll display chapters on the Google home page. And that's why we always recommend to individually name your chapters. So don't just say, oh, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, we name it as a description and as a search term to to help individualize those chapters as well. So something just as simple as that is what's going to help it rank on Google along with your description. And that's something we've covered several times, is that you've got to have a good description in your YouTube video. That is more like a mini blog post. Mini blog post is going to help out. That helps out the algorithm read what your video is about, what's going on. And so that is something that you want to keep in mind. Let me see. So let me run through another one. Here's one that is not very known or talked about, you could say. It's known, but people don't really, I'm not sure if they know how to maximize it. And that would be Pinterest. Pinterest is in the top 5 search engines out there. So you have Google, YouTube, I think Bing, and then Yahoo maybe still in there. I think Pinterest might be hovering around 5 or 6 last time I checked, maybe number 5. So Pinterest, if you think about it, is a search engine. And you think about that, that's where people are really going to get ideas. And if you think about people that are about to move, which we always talk about intention-based marketing versus interruption-based marketing, then that is extremely intention-based marketing, is by creating a Pinterest board. Because think about what people are doing when they're about to move. They're thinking about redecorating, setting up rooms, getting different furniture, different styles. What are some good ideas? Paint, all that stuff. And they start making boards literally just about their home. And I believe that is if the top 1, if not the top 2 board ideas on or saved boards or boards that people create on Pinterest is homes, home boards, home improvement, moving, new rooms, things like that. It's one of the top 1 or 2, I believe, as far as what people are searching for on Pinterest. And so that's what they're doing. They're creating entire boards on there. So if you create things around your city, like we do, which I just checked this morning, we're averaging about 6,000 views per month. 6,000 views per month to our Pinterest. And guess what our banner says on Pinterest? Search living in Dallas, Texas on YouTube. It also says that in our description. Now we have a link. The link we provide is to our website. The reason we provide the link to our website is because Pinterest is a blog-based website. That's really what they favor over YouTube channels or something like that. So we want to link our website, and that website is going to go to our blog page. And people go to our website, they're going to find out we're pretty heavy on YouTube. So again, we are capturing people in the research mode. They're online, they're looking specifically, they're intentional about their next move or brainstorming or thinking about, this new home, this new area, something like that. And they start thinking about Dallas. Well, we want them to find Dallas and go, oh man, here's a board that's helpful. And we post quite a bit of stuff. It just made me think, Chrissy, we should probably start pinning some more like room recommendations or paint colors or, kind of like office ideas or dining room ideas. I think that might be something that we can draw a little bit more attention to, because right now we stick to typically things about Dallas. And what makes it a little bit easy too is that, a lot of this stuff is the same that can go on our Google business profile, which we'll talk about. It can go on our community tab of YouTube. It can go in our blogs on the website. So we're really just kind of repurposing and reusing content, throughout several different platforms and trying to maximize our opportunity there. So if I look at Pinterest, we're talking about fireworks on the last post. So hopefully this gives them some ideas for different parks and things like that to go watch the fireworks around town. Let's see, one before that, Kaboom Town, again, talking about fireworks. So we're capitalizing on 4th of July coming up. So we've pinned a couple of ideas in there for them to go. The one before that was Flippin' Park. That's what it's actually called, Flippin' Park. So a little park idea, a little park that they could go and visit to. So as people are searching and they say, oh, here's a Pinterest page about living in Dallas, Texas, which we're going to be moving to, then here's some great ideas, especially when we get there, some really cool stuff to do and things that we could look at. And that's averaging 6,000 views per month, which nobody has called us yet and said, hey, I really love your Pinterest page, therefore I wanted to buy a house from you. Okay, that has not happened. So I can't correlate any closed sales to our Pinterest page. But hey, 6,000 extra eyeballs per month on our brand, I'll take that. And if it leads into something down the road, more than likely, if they start watching the YouTube channel and it gets 6 months later, most of the time, anytime we ask people, they can't really pinpoint, the beginning anyways. So if we say, oh, why'd you decide to call it? They'll usually just say, we just watch all your videos, Oh, which video in particular? Well, I couldn't tell you. I just watch all your videos. Okay, all right, cool. So for somebody to say, yeah, well, man, that Pinterest board, that was something else. I tell you what, really helped me. I don't expect that to happen, but I do know if I don't have a Pinterest board, then I'm probably never going to attract business that way. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. So I just like it. I like that it adds to the views of our overall brand. And if we can attract people from there over to YouTube, then that's a great way to get people that are in a research mode and looking for information. Chrissy, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, too, that sometimes the goal is not to generate business from a platform, but to use it to boost up the results for another platform that you're more active on. And so we use Pinterest really more to drive traffic to the website. And then the website drives traffic to YouTube. And so sometimes, when you're on these platforms and you're just being consistent, it's just dominating the first page and pushing down other results. And so kind of think of it that way. If you're dominating the first page of Google, it's very likely that someone's going to choose your brand over the next person's. Now, they're probably going to choose either your website or YouTube to go to, just because they're stronger platforms. They have more rapport naturally, and they know that they're going to find what they want. But if somebody sees that the entire first page of Google says living in Dallas, Texas on Pinterest, living in Dallas, Texas on LinkedIn, it's like all of these different places, it just adds extra rapport and it pushes down other search results in your area. So it just dominates that first page of Google, and that's where the ecosystem is so powerful.
There you go. Which leads us on to the Google business profile. And if you look at the Google business profile, that is something, you have to have that. You absolutely have to have that. And if anybody searches living in Dallas, Texas on Google, our profile is going to take up almost 40% of the right side of the page all the way down to the bottom. So from top to bottom, that's how long the profile is, and it will take up about 40%. So if you were to cut the middle of your computer in half, or divide it up 60% to the left, 40% to the right, that's how big a Google business profile can be for that search term. So, and if somebody Googles that, once it pops up there over to the right, that's a pretty big deal. So that allows us to, again, filter people over from there, and if you have the Google business profile, and I would do everything I can to maximize
what you can on there, which is if you can add products. If you add products, then those products can become clickable. They become clickable, and that just gives something for them to download. We don't try to capture information from there. We just let them download. So again, just providing value. We have our information on there. So if they download a product, they're gonna have what we have to to contact us if they want to. But they can book an appointment. They can make a phone call. They can leave reviews on there. So all of that on there is extremely powerful, but it pops up and the reviews are a big deal. And then of course we can link our YouTube channel, this is the only place other than our website where we have our YouTube channel linked. So is Google profile. And again, because if they're on Google searching, then we believe they are in a research mindset. And if that's the case, then they are more likely to go watch some videos, because usually when people are searching and they say, oh, there's a video about what I'm searching about, then hey, then they're more likely to watch that because they're in research mode. And most people right now, this day and age, are not necessarily looking to read a whole lot about a certain topic or subject. So they're just kind of like, I will watch a video. Absolutely. So that's an opportunity there to maximize the Google business page. And again, the post that we may put on Pinterest or the community tab, we treat Google business profile like a blog site kind of, or posting, or like a social media site, because we post updates, we post pictures, we can post some videos on there and write a little short description about it. And I would say that's where you're going to get a lot more views about your lunch than you likely will on Facebook. So if you're going to post your lunch, if you're one of those lunch posters, that's what you like to share all the time, well, then that would be the place to do it. Actually, instead, do it on your Google business profile, then to do that on Facebook. And then from Google business profile, this is another one that not a lot of people really do, I believe, which is Google Maps. Google Maps. And again, if you like posting your lunch or leaving reviews, you should become a local guide on Google Maps. And I just looked at my photos on Google Maps. I have over 6 million views on my Google Maps photos. 6 million views. Think about that. Man, it's just amazing. Oh, and I haven't even posted it in 4 weeks, so I gotta stay up to date. But again, if you're gonna post your lunch, then that's the place to do it. And in posting the outside of a restaurant, some inside pictures, what you have to eat, those types of things are really what people like to see on Google Maps. You're reviewing an area, so I always review. I don't always, but most likely I'll review restaurants and things like that and just add some photos. And that's what has allowed 6 million views to my photos. And what does my profile say? Search Living in Dallas, Texas on YouTube to find our channel and learn all about Dallas, Texas. So again, it's just another way that we can drive traffic, because and that's really more for the local people, or it could be really more for visiting people too. Think about how much you use Google Maps. And I know when I travel, especially when I travel abroad, I live on Google Maps. I use it for everything. I use it locally too, because I'm going to search, if we're in an area, just like on Sunday, we were going, what do we want for lunch? Well, we want some barbecue. We weren't around our normal area, so it's like, okay, barbecue. So what do we do? Search barbecue. And it's going to pull up the closest restaurants around you. That's what we're using Google Maps for. And, are people going to my Google Maps profile and searching that and finding out and going to YouTube? Well, unfortunately, we can't really track that, and there's no direct link on there to do that. But again, it's just awareness. If they were to check out the profile and see that, they've got a YouTube channel, maybe that'll spark some interest, and maybe they'll they'll jump over to YouTube and start searching. But, has anybody called and said, Levi, I love your Google Maps pictures and I love your reviews, so I think we want to buy a home with you? Nope, hasn't happened yet. But 6 million views, and whether even if 1% of that gets to the profile and they see that we have a YouTube channel, is that worth it? Well, I think we all take pictures of our food anyways. I mean, I see it. I look at restaurants. I watch whenever food comes out. And if you don't do this now, just check it out. Next time you're at a restaurant, watch as people's food comes out. Don't be creepy though. And notice, normally almost everybody at the table pulls out their phone and takes a picture. So unless you're at like Chipotle, all right? If you're at Chipotle, that's probably not going to happen. But any other restaurant, especially if you're out for dinner, you're at a restaurant that business, anything like that. I mean, just a good restaurant, doesn't matter. You could be at Outback Steakhouse and people will probably pull out their phones and take some pictures of that. It's just what people love to do now. And if you're traveling, you better believe everybody's taking pictures of their food, usually all the time. So I was just a couple of weeks ago, was in New Orleans. That's why I was looking on my thing, and that was the last photos I posted. But when I travel out of the country, other cities, things like that, I'll post that as well, because if people are going to Google Maps in New Orleans, or when we were in Cabo or some other country or other state, that's how I'm going to capture those people, because they're searching or looking for things and they see my pictures. And if they do click on my profile and go there, they're going to see, oh, we got a YouTube channel. And that's how we start to try to spread that out in other countries and other states, is by doing that, by posting pictures and reviews that other people are going to see in those areas. Then that's really, pretty good. And then of course, whenever I do that around Dallas, then it really sparks some interest. And it's really interesting whenever you post something and, within a couple of hours, you could have thousands of views on it, because that's how many people are out there. I could post a picture right now and it's amazing how you could just refresh and it'll get immediate views. There's so many people just searching on Google Maps nonstop, all the time, every day, looking for stuff. So, hey, if you're taking a picture of your food anyways, you're walking into a restaurant, even if it's a coffee shop. I mean, I go to a lot of coffee shops whenever I'm out and about. I love stopping in boutique coffee shops. Man, just stop, take a simple picture of the outside, simple picture of the inside. Take a picture of your coffee if you want, maybe a couple of the coffee bags there, something simple. 3-4 pictures per place. Boom, upload that to Google Maps, leave them a review. I always leave 5-star reviews. I'm not that person. Even if it's not that great, I'm still going to leave a 5-star review. I'll say something nice. I'll find something that I like, and I just leave it. I'm not a food critic, so I'm not going to be giving people 3 and 4 stars. And so again, I want to keep it positive. I want to help out local businesses. If a business is so terrible that, that I wouldn't leave 5 stars, then I just won't leave a review. All right. So, but that hasn't really happened. So I'm always going to be leaving 5-star reviews. That's a reflection on my profile as well. I've seen some other local guides where they're very critical of every little thing. And it's just like, I don't know if I'd want to do business with them if they were an agent. So I just think about that. So just some things to keep in mind there on Google Maps. And then we have WordPress. Good old WordPress. I think a lost and forgotten art maybe sometimes this day and age. Back in the day, in the early 2000s, if you had a WordPress website with a blog on it, you were probably going to rank on page 1 of Google. Now, is that the case? Well, it's a little bit more difficult. There's a lot more competition and strategy involved in it as well, but we do have WordPress sites. We do write blogs for those, specifically for them, and we will embed our videos in those blogs, because again, if somebody's researching, they come across a blog and they're willing to read a blog, why wouldn't they want to watch a video to go with that, or to get the quicker version, or the easier to consume, or the fact that they can see it, they can actually see it and give it a try that way. But Chrissy, you want to add anything on WordPress as far as some tips and tricks that maybe people can use, especially for those that are not WordPress experts?
Yeah, when it comes to your blog post, just having some variety in the types of content that you offer will make it more user-friendly, because like YouTube, WordPress is going to base a lot of what the rank, or Google is going to rank a lot of your stuff off of whether or not it's user-friendly or not. And so offering the video embedded into your content, offering some images with alt tags and metadata involved in the back end, writing blogs that have substance that will help the user and have actual keywords in there as well. So you kind of want to approach your content very similarly to the way that you would approach it on YouTube, making sure that keywords that are relevant are in there. You're not keyword stuffing, but you are incorporating a good variety of keywords, long tail keywords, short tail keywords, using a good catchy headline that's also keyword rich. Those types of things are going to help you on your blog posts as well. So having a blog, having enough, having your contact information, having kind of like those main page types, a home page, an about page, and a contact page, and then just kind of building around those three major pages, having that will help you rank a little bit better. But yeah, going into the back end and making sure that all of your images are geotagged. They're also, they have metadata involved with WordPress. That's kind of the beautiful thing about WordPress, because I get this question a lot, why can't you use, like a Shopify store for, that's outside of real estate, but for other people who are building stuff, why can't I just use a WordPress builder? Why can't I just use like a ClickFunnels page as my main website? The problem is that SEO is very, very limited. You can't go into the back end and do a lot of the metadata. Now, some of these other services have improved and they've offered more, but still when you can deal with the raw data, especially if you have the ability to bring in somebody to manage that website for you who has that specialty, it's so robust. You can do so much with it on a WordPress site, whereas you are limited with some of these other services that offer like the self-serve website builder, the drag and drop. WordPress has gotten really, really good, even with their plugins, that they do have a lot of drag and drop features, which makes it a lot easier. Back in the day, if you didn't know how to code, you weren't building a WordPress website. I've built so many websites just straight off of code, and it's painful. Now you can use a lot of plugins, and there's a lot of features built into WordPress that make it very easy to build, while also thinking about the SEO in mind when you're actually building things. So that's what I would say, is just make sure that every single image that you put in there is geotagged, has metadata involved. You have keywords throughout your copy, and you're using really good headlines. So approach it like YouTube, and you should be good to go.
There you go. And also, real quick tip, I just saw one of our community members posted in our private Facebook group, Passive Prospecting. If you're not in there, you should definitely get in there. There's lots of communications that go on back and forth, and then we have our members that post really cool stuff, like Joseph. I haven't watched this video, I'm about to, but he was just talking about how to create lists of best locations on Google Maps. So it would be something that you can share as well. So think about that you could provide to your clients, especially out-of-town clients, whenever they come in and they say, hey, what should we do? We got an extra day. Where should we eat? Where should we go for fun? And he's going to walk you through on that video how to create a list, a curated list that you can share with people. So I'm interested in watching that and figuring out how I can do that, and then just share that list of, think about it. You could create your own best barbecue restaurants, or Asian food or Indian food or something like that. And then also things to do in Frisco, things to do in Plano. It makes it very, very simple to pass that on to somebody and provide a link that I guess would open it up in the Google Maps app, I presume, and then just probably have those areas favorited, and think how easy it would be for them to just click on it, gives them directions, and they're off to the races. And so, and usually that's what we do with our out-of-town clients when they come in, is we, have them come in and tell them to spend a day or two, depending on their timeline. Now, we figure out all of this beforehand, but if they're coming in for 3-4 days, one of the things you always want to make sure is what days and times are they available to see homes. Because if you don't understand that, people may come in for 5 days and maybe they don't want to look at homes for the entire 5 days. Maybe they want to take a couple of days and spend it with the family. Maybe they're doubling up on this as a little time off or a little vacation time on top of that. So you want to be very clear, because the last thing you want to do is, they come into town wanting to see homes the first day or two, and then they have plans with friends or family or relatives or something like that the last few days, and then you don't reach out to them a day or two before they get there, and they're like, well, shoot, we only had time the first couple of days to look at homes. So if you clear that up, then you can develop a plan for them. And usually if they have three days to look at homes, we'll say, okay, take the first day, go out, cruise around, check out the areas, go have lunch, go have dinner, just hang out, just get a feel for things, and then the second day go out and look for some homes, and no more than 6 homes in a day. I think somebody posted that in the group the other day as well. I mean, we're not going to show anybody 10, 12 homes in a day. It just doesn't make sense, no more than 6, because otherwise they just start running together. And 6 is really even a lot too. I mean, you got to bounce around, look at some homes, make it to the next one. I mean, that's a pretty sizable day right there. But normally, we get that as narrowed down as best as possible. And that way, and if they don't make an offer on something that day, then yeah, go out the second day. But again, we're going to keep it limited to 4 to 6 homes, so they don't all start to blur together, and they get a good idea. And then hopefully you're making an offer, which we find that typically the case is that they're making offers within 1 to 2 days of looking at homes, and just getting to know that client. I would say if you end up taking somebody to more than 6 homes in a day, I mean, you should probably work on clarifying things a lot better between yourself and the client, understanding their needs and what they're looking for, because you could probably eliminate a few of those homes because they probably won't meet their criteria in the first place. So you just want to do a little bit better research and understanding of your client, because if they want to see 8 or 10 homes in a day, I mean, that's just they're not going to remember the 4th, 5th, and 6th one or 7th one anyways. It's just going to be way too much. It's overload. So those are some things to keep in mind there. So we got WordPress, local guides, Google Maps, Pinterest, Google Business Profiles, Google as well, and YouTube were kind of the main topics. I'm going to go to the chat and see if there's any questions in the chat, or if anybody wants to come off of mute. Let's see, what's our Pinterest called? I believe it's Living in Dallas, right? Let me see.
Yeah, I think so. It's Living in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, it should be the same as our name. Yeah, Living in Dallas, Texas. So that's it. That's what it's called, Living in Dallas, Texas. Joshua says, should the name of the Google business profile be the same as the channel, etc.? Yeah, I mean, I think that helps. Ours is called Living in Dallas, Texas there as well. And again, we're trying to capture anybody that's searching that term. For us, that was the top search term in Dallas. When we started out, we were looking for the top search term to name the channel, kind of brand ourselves off of. And we looked at moving to, Dallas, relocating to Dallas, Texas living, Dallas, Texas real estate. If Dallas, Texas real estate was a top search term, it's not bad. It's just not number one, surprisingly. But if Dallas, Texas real estate was the top search term, I would have named the channel Dallas, Texas real estate. But living in Dallas, Texas at the time, and still is really one of the top search terms as far as what we wanted to go with. So that's why we went with that. And then, for us, it was a lot easier as well because we were starting out. So we just branded everything from there. So all of our socials became that, YouTube, Google Business Profile, everything from there became, Living in Dallas, Texas. And that was it. But if you have an established brand and an established name, again, I don't know if it really matters on somewhere like YouTube. I would still probably name the channel a search term, and you can put your brand if you want in the banner. I mean, if you really are trying to brand the Levi Lascsak home selling team, then just put it in your banner. It's not a big deal. But again, We're looking for people that are researching, looking for information, and that's who we want to speak to. And so naming the channel that, I just don't think it really has to be 100% in alignment with your other brands. So if you have an older brand and you've been building the Levi Lascsak home selling team for the past 5, 10, or 15 years, whatever the case may be, that's okay. But it's okay to have a YouTube channel named something completely different. Because again, people are not likely on YouTube searching for the Levi Lascsak home selling team. It's just not going to happen really. So same thing on Google. Now, if your name or your home selling team is optimized and you've been using that keyword, if anybody searches it, they should find your website anyways. But that's going to be probably a lot fewer searches than your city and state. So anything that's search related, I don't think it has to. I just don't think it has to match your brand exactly. Now, do you have to change absolutely everything? Again, on your socials, I think your team name or brand name, again, short form platforms, interruption platforms. People are not on there typically intentionally searching for real estate, so it doesn't really matter. They come across you, they're going to, that's more of a complete personality play, is short form platforms. That's a good way to put it, I think. Is short form platforms are a complete personality play, which means somebody's going to have to come across your content like you, and then or the content. I mean, really, they're really going to like you. That's probably what they're going to stick around for. But on YouTube, people are in search of information. They may not like me and my personality in the beginning, but and you've had it happen to you before as well. When you listen to something over and over again or watch something over and over again, sometimes you didn't like the character of the story or like the personality, but you adapted to it because the information kept you coming back. And you're like, well, you know what? They're not so bad after all. Okay. All right. I kind of like this person. And then you never know. They could be best friends, right? Remember when you got in that junior high fight with Bobby Joe, and you hated Bobby Joe, and now you guys have been inseparable for the last 30 years? Well, sometimes it starts out that way. So, on YouTube, they could be like, I don't really like this person, but information's pretty good, video's pretty good, content's pretty good, and I'm researching anyway, so I'm going to be looking for the information. Is where on short form platforms, maybe people are like, oh, this person, I don't like them at all. So, I could care less, and I move on.
Another thing before we move on from that too, because I have had a few people who have come to me and asked about, their Google My Business profile. Maybe they have some authority on it already, and maybe they built a little bit of branding around that. They're ranking for it in Google. My recommendation would not be to change the name, but you could add the name of your channel kind of as the end part of that. So say that it's Levi Lascsak home selling team was what's actually selling. I would do a dash living in Dallas, Texas. And that way people can connect the dots, and it adds a keyword in there, but it doesn't take away the keyword that you've already ranked for. So that would be my recommendation if you have something that's established that you feel like is getting traction, instead of changing the name altogether.
Yeah. There you go. All right, let me check a couple more questions real quick. My top search term isn't living in Bend. Okay. Well, I'm curious which is. Ravi says, how do you find what search terms are being searched the most? We use TubeBuddy. And if you check the description on any one of our YouTube channels, on the Passive Prospecting YouTube channel, you'll find a link for TubeBuddy, and we provide a 25% discount code. So you can find that description of any of our Passive Prospecting YouTube videos. So that's it. That's what we got for today. I'm going to leave it at that, since I think we ran through the questions. Josh says it's lifestyle and Bend, and Chrissy just answered. Okay, there you go. All right. Well, good to go. Chrissy, anything you want to close out with?
No, I feel like we covered it pretty well. I mean, overall, the SEO ecosystem is not really there to overwhelm you either. Don't let just all of the different platforms make you feel like you have to have everything ready to go right away. We definitely built things brick by brick, and we started with YouTube. So YouTube is definitely the king out of all of these, and then just build as you can. You don't have to have a website right out the gate. You don't have to have, or I shouldn't say a website. You probably should have some place for people to go, but you don't need to have something that's robust like what we have. You don't necessarily need to have a Pinterest board right away. You build these things as you go, but of course, starting with YouTube and starting with Google My Business, those would probably be the two that I would start with, because those are going to be ranking the fastest and they're the most powerful. So overall, just try to take it one step at a time. But the more that you build and the more that you create, it's going to help you rank better on the first page of Google. And that's ultimately what we want. We want to push down the other competitors in our area and show that we dominate the market on Google and on YouTube. And people are going to immediately trust you if you do that.
There you go. Well, I think that was a great conversation today, and we will see you next week. By the way, make sure to get a copy of Passive Prospecting if you haven't already, available on Amazon in all formats: Kindle, audiobook, Audible, hardcover, and paperback. And I think the way I've been reading books recently is with the audiobook and the paper and the hardcover. I like hardcovers. I just buy hardcovers. I just like them. I think it's a little kind of a cool thing, piece of history. So I always buy a hardcover and the audiobook, and that's what I like to do. That really keeps my attention. It keeps my mind from wondering too much whenever I read, because sometimes I'll read a page or two and then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I just went through like 2 pages and I was thinking about making eggs, something like that. So I'm like, all right. So now I've been listening to the audiobook at the same time as I read, and then also underlining. I'll pause the audiobook if I want to underline something and underline it. And I've also been working on just doing a chapter a day. I think a chapter a day is just extremely digestible, allows me to kind of focus on that one concept and think about it as well. And I think it's very manageable, because a chapter can just really be 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. And to me, that's just so much more manageable than, oh, I've got to read an hour a day, or, timing it, or I'm going to try to read 2 chapters. I just feel like that's a good chunk at a time. So, if I got a book and it's 15 chapters, it's likely going to take me 15 days to finish it. So I don't have goals of I've got to read 50 books this year. My goal is a chapter a day. That's the goal. And I'll get through as many books as I can. And does that happen every single day? Not really. I will say I'm bad about traveling. I still get up and go to the gym and do some other things, but I don't focus on my morning routine 100% whenever I travel. But, not for any particular reason, but I have intention, and maybe I should just work on doing that better as well. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, you can get the audiobook version on Audible, which is pretty cool. And as always, if you're a giving person and you're listening to this on the podcast, then a 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. It helps us out a lot. We're actually about to break 100 on the podcast, 100 reviews, which is cool. We're right at 99, so somebody's going to be that 100th review. So that's pretty cool, and we're almost about to break 100 reviews on the book as well, which is pretty cool. So appreciate all your support. Hopefully you found value in this episode, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.